The following is a special presentation of the First Horizon Greene Sports Zone. This is the Tommie's Plumbing Evan Monroe Show.
Welcome back to First Horizon's Greene Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Tommie's Plumbing Evan Monroe Show, where we cover everything on the range with the West Greene Buffaloes football team. We'll talk about last week's senior night win over Cumberland Gap and talk about what's upcoming this week in the first round of the Class 2A playoffs. But first, we need to get a billboard spot in first. So we'll be right back in just a quick minute here on First Horizon's Greene Sports Zone.
The Tommie's Plumbing Evan Monroe Show is brought to you by Gateway Ford Nissan, by Tommie's Plumbing, and by First Horizon Bank.
Here's a twist on your typical banking options. What if instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
Welcome back to First Horizon's Greene Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Tommie's Plumbing Evan Monroe Show, where we cover everything in Malt's time with the West Greene Buffaloes football team. As always, I'm joined here with head coach Evan Monroe. Coach, how's it going this week?
Hey, it's a whole lot nicer to sit down and talk to you after a win than it has been the rest of the season.
I'm sure it is.
So,
We'll go right into it and talk about the win. Senior night on Friday night against Cumberland Gap. Yours was Friday night, correct?
Thursday.
See, I messed up so many times earlier today. I joked around in my earlier coach's show that I need to put a ticker on the screen that shows how many times I accidentally say Friday instead of Thursday, just because it throws me off so much. There's one right there. But Thursday night, you had senior night with Cumberland Gap. You picked up a 40-6 win to get back into the win column. I know it always feels good to get a win. Always feels good to get a region win to make yourself the 3 seed going into this week's Class 2A playoffs. So take the floor and talk about the win.
You know, these guys, we knew we had went through a gauntlet of a schedule. The 5 weeks before this, we played 3 region champions and 2 region runner-ups. 2 of those teams were undefeated, and one of those teams finished 8-2 with their 2 losses to the undefeated team. We had went through a gauntlet of a schedule. We knew that these guys are better than our record shows. We've just played some really, really good football teams, and I'm proud of the guys for, hey, it's week 11. We've not won. It'd be easy to just fold it up and quit. But our guys showed up. They played their butts off. Kind of got us a good win. Got us a great win on Friday to help improve our playoff seeding. I was just pleased with our effort. Everybody got to play, so that's a big thing. So, and our seniors really had a lot of big moments in this game. I got kind of worried when the game started. We get the ball. Tristan Banks rips one off for 7 yards. I'm like, okay. Well, I try to run a little toss the other way, and we kind of whiffed on a block, and they get a tackle for loss for about 7. So we're back to 3rd and 10. I'm like, well, okay. So we try to run again and pick up about 6. So it's 4th and 4, and I'm sitting there saying, do I go for it this early? Do I punt? So we ended up punting. We punt to them. They get the ball back, and they pick up a yard or two, pick up a couple yards, pick up a yard or two. It's 4th and short. Picked it up, so it's 1st and 10. And then we end up finally stopping them on 4th down and getting the ball back. Unfortunately, again, we go 3 and out again, punt right back to them. And I'm like, daggone, we got to kind of get going a little bit. Then they kind of fizzled out and went 3 and out on defense. I was pleased with that. They go to punt, and Peyton and Damien both did a fantastic job getting pressure. This is kind of a bad snap, and the punter went to pick it up, and when he looked up, he saw Damien and Peyton coming, so he kind of took off, and when he took off, the rest of the defense just pursued, did a great job getting a good turnover on downs and giving us some really good field position there. And then we kind of just started doing what we wanted to do. So at that point, it's 0-0. First quarter ends up running out. And then we kind of just slowly 5-6 yards a carry, 5-6 yards a carry, 5-6 yards a carry. We get down to the 1 yard line. Austin Brown sneaks him one in, and we go up 7-0 there.
Offense started to heat up after that. I liked what Mark wrote. I think he said the offense heated up on a cold, rainy night.
Yeah,
and you certainly did after that.
Yeah, it was like that misty, just it was a cold, wet rain, and our guys were. We just kind of were like, you know what, we've got them down. Let's kick them while they're down a little bit, and so we end up onside kicking it. Kendall did a great job. The ball rolled around, and the guy went to pick it up, and when he did, he looked up, and then he dropped it, and Kyler Patterson got on it, and then again we went just chunk, and then I think Sean Bailey ripped one off for about 20 yards in, put us up 14-0 at that point. I think it was 14. I can't remember. Kendall missed a couple PATs.
Right. It was 14, yeah.
I can't remember which ones he missed, which ones he made.
I've got it right here. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Keep going.
Then we onside kick it again, and it was a beautiful onside kick. Hit the kid in the shins, and it bounced back 5 yards, and we'd have fell on it. But unfortunately, 9 of the other 10 guys besides the kicker were offsides. Kendall kind of stutter stepped before he kicked it, and everybody went offsides. So we had to re-kick, ended up kicking it deep. They ended up, first play, they ended up fumbling, and I think Leland jumped on it. And then I think next play, we drove it a little bit, and then I think who was the next one? Was it Ethan the next
White,
one?
yeah.
So we get down to about the 1, and Ethan's been a guy that hadn't really touched the ball a whole lot this year, but he's been a blocker, great guy, great blocking guy for us. So kind of threw him a bone and got him in on senior night. And so he was tickled to death to get in, and so I think Kendall good on that one.
Yeah.
All right, so
21-0.
All right, so 21-0. And then I think that got us to our halftime score. Second half, force a good defensive stop, drive down. I think it was that Damien on that one? Okay, Damien ended up getting him one. No good on the kick. Damien ripped off about a 20-yarder there. A guy that I hadn't mentioned that did a lot of the work for us was Tristan Banks. Bubs ran the ball really, really hard Friday night, or there's two.
There we go.
Thursday. And, I look kind of like a jerk because from 15 to 15, or really 20 to 20.
Tristan's carrying the load.
Tristan's toting the rock.
It's the Kenneth Walker scenario with Seattle.
And then we get inside the 20, and I hand it to a fullback, or I hand it to Sean, or
QB sneak,
quarterback sneak, and Tristan was just kind of he was a little mad at me. I kind of cut the rug out from under him, but he had a great defensive game. He had a heck of a pass breakup. I thought the guy made a great completion, but Tristan come up, and as soon as the guy went to catch it, hit his hands, and Tristan tattooed him, and he kind of lost the ball. So that got us to a 4th down stop there, and that last touchdown was Sean, and Sean on that one did his best Marshawn Lynch impersonation, and the guy come up to hit him, and the guy bounced off of him. He run through him, and as he run through him, he took a hand and just kind of pushed him into the ground, and the kid kind of bounced off the ground. He hit him, and he ended up ripping off the rest of it to score. And I was like, dang, that's a mad run. So, all our backs had a great night. Peyton Hilton had a fantastic catch down here on a kind of second and long situation to put us up in a good situation to be able to punch one in. He probably scores if Brown gives him a little better ball, but slick conditions, he's kind of booting out and trying to throw one over the top and leaves it a little short, and Peyton has to come back and get it. But Peyton come back and got it and set us up good. Some guys that did a lot of good things this week that don't show up on the stat sheet. I thought Leland Payne had a fantastic game at center. Tucker had a great job at tackle. Avery Johnson comes in as a freshman and at guard and does a great job. So, Isaiah Roberts had a good game on the line. Our offensive line you rush for 6 touchdowns, your offensive line's doing something right.
Yeah.
So, I'm pleased with those guys and how they showed up. And, our skill guys kind of had a boring night with out there at receiver, not really getting tossed a bone. But
in the conditions you were playing in,
yes.
that you have to play to the conditions you're given.
Yes. And they were playing man-to-man press coverage, or not really press coverage, kind of off coverage, face guarding. So, those guys, kudos to them. It was Hunter Franklin and Kyler Patterson did a lot of it. You see on film, there's a couple times Hunter knows it's man-to-man and the guy's sticking with him. And he just kind of turns and throws his hands up like he's getting one, and it pulls that corner, and, we're running behind it. So that's a smart football play from just a kid that's a sophomore. So I think he got that from a guy in the NFL, probably saw it on TikTok somewhere.
DK Metcalf did it last year.
Yeah, because I didn't teach him that. It's a pretty smart play by him. So, defensively, our starters pitched a shutout. Had a couple big tackles for loss. Damien, it's 4th and about 4, about midfield. And we send him on a blitz, and he comes untouched, and the kid he tattoos the kid, gets a tackle for loss there. Gives us a little momentum kind of in the second half, or gets the momentum back, and we just kind of go down and take care of business. I'm proud of it. Was an overall great team effort. Special teams did a great job. Punt block did a great job forcing him to be uncomfortable. Secondary did a great job taking away their passing attack. So just overall great team effort, great team win.
And we talk about the defense. You don't get that win either without 2 huge turnovers. You talk about Leland jumping on a fumble.
Yeah.
And then Shane Wilhoit gets an interception late in the second half.
Yeah.
Defense hasn't been great in the turnover margin, but in a game where you win 40-6 like that, you think you're going to need some big defensive plays to score that much on offense, and you were able to. You talked about how happy you were about the defense, but to see some turnovers finally go your way also. How delighted were you to see that go in your favor?
I feel like the ball has bounced the complete opposite way all year long.
Yeah.
It has not bounced our way one time. So for us to finally have a fumble that doesn't just bounce back up in the guy's hands and he takes off, or, it don't just, the ball has not bounced our way. And so for it to finally bounce our way was kind of nice. Leland's fumble recovery was big there. Give us great starting field position to let us go down in there and score. That put us up 3 scores, and that kind of sucked all the wind out of their sails because I think we scored 3 touchdowns in less than 2 minutes. So,
wow.
Yeah, because it was we scored, onside kick and recovered and scored, and then Leland's fumble, and then we scored again. So that's winning football, and that's the team I know we can be when we play discipline and do what we're coached to do. So I was very, very pleased with that. And, Shane's interception kind of coming up in mop-up duty a little bit, but, he kind of redeemed himself. We threw him a go ball down here in the end zone, and it just went right through his hands. And he was kind of beating himself up for that one because there was his chance to score. And I told him, I said, if I get the chance, I'm going to take a shot with you. And we finally got into shot range and took a shot with him. He just dropped it, and that happens. Wet ball, bad conditions, it happens. But then down here they're driving, and the quarterback kind of overthrows one, and he ends up catching a pick, diving, kind of catching the pick there. So I was very, very, very pleased with that. Damien almost had him a pick early in the game too. Unfortunately, he's a lineman playing linebacker, and his vertical's just not quite tall enough. He was fully stretched, jumped up, and it kind of went off the tips of his fingers there. So defensive, they played lights out, and we knew we had to slow their passing attack down, and we did a great job of that. Kind of made that quarterback uncomfortable, and kudos to those guys. They played their tails off.
Moving on to the playoffs now, the 3 seed in the playoffs now.
Yeah, it's
going to Oneida now, so we'll talk about that a little bit in just a minute. As always, we need to get a quick word in from our sponsors first. So don't go anywhere. We'll talk about that playoff matchup right after this here on First Horizons Green Sports Zone.
Here's a twist on your typical banking options. What if instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
Tommie's Plumbing has been in business for 30 years, and we're still growing because we treat our customers like family. We are proud to do any job from kitchen faucet installation to a complete home repipe. Tommie's Plumbing offers warranties on most products installed by our technicians. When the job is done, our friendly professionals make sure to clean up. We invite you to visit our new showroom in Jonesboro to see our quality products for yourself. Tommie's is the only one to call when you need a fast, reliable, professional plumber in the Tri-Cities.
At many dealerships, you get what you'd expect. Games, gimmicks, and shady sales tactics. At Gateway Nissan in Greenville, expect the unexpected. Low prices, convenient service, and a great buying experience.
Get our Gateway exclusive lifetime powertrain warranty.
No worries for life.
You deserve the unexpected. It's the #1 reason you gotta get to Gateway.
Shop online at gatewaynissangreenville.com.
Or take the super short drive down Highway 11E to Gateway Nissan in Greenville.
Welcome back to First Horizons Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Tommie's Plumbing Evan Monroe Show, where we cover everything in Mossheim with the West Greene Buffaloes football team. As always, joined here with Buffs head coach Evan Monroe. So back in the playoffs now, going on the road for the first round as the 3 seed traveling to the Region 2 seed of Oneida. A little bit of a far distance. I think it's around 2 hours to travel
over 2,
and get over there to play your first round playoff game here in the Class 2A playoffs. So without any further introduction, the Buffaloes are back in the playoffs. How are you feeling at the moment?
You know, it's a good feeling to know that we're back in it and we're not just a 4 seed and we didn't win a single conference game and we're just in it as a consolation prize. I'm very pleased that, you know, even though we're 1-9, playoffs are special. There's teams that wish they got to play another game of football this week. There's teams around the state that wish they had one more week of practice. There's a lot of teams around the state today that are turning their stuff in, and there's a lot of kids walking out of their facility, and this is the last time they'll ever walk in a football facility. So, you know, November football's a little special.
Yeah.
It's do or die. It's a fresh season. The past 10 weeks don't really matter. 11 weeks. It's now, can you come ready to play each and every week, and can you make something happen to give your team a chance to win? And so, you know, playoffs are special. It's a lot of fun. And playoff football's different. It's a different intensity. I think it requires a different level of focus. And, you know, you never know what a team mentally is at this point in the year. Do they have a bunch of guys that are ready for basketball season? Do they have a bunch of guys that are just tired of being at football? Are they ready to play? You never know what your opponent's really going through. So you've got a chance. You got to make the dance to have a chance. I like that.
That's a good quote. 2 of my favorite quotes I always use when you enter the postseason is, 1, the postseason is the most exciting time of the year.
Absolutely.
And 2, when you get into the postseason, everybody's good at this point. You're down to 32 teams left in the state and whatever certain classification each Greene County team is in, and everybody's good up to this point. So you're seeing Oneida this Friday night. Yeah. What do you expect on both sides of the ball whenever you line up?
You know, they utilize a lot of tight ends. They move guys around. They've got a H-back tight end guy that's big. He's a big guy. They like him out in the flat. They'll run, you know, the little H to the flat and try to get him the ball, get him some easy touches. He's a big kid. He looks like a big, strong kid on film. They utilize a lot of different pro-style sets. They'll have, you know, 2 tight ends with 2 receivers and a single and an old-school ace formation is what we call it. You know, sometimes they're in pistol, sometimes it's side saddle. And so, you know, they just utilize a lot of different formations. Quarterback's decent. I think he's probably a pretty good quarterback, and the teams they've played has been pretty good, so it's kind of hard to get a good read on him.
Yeah.
But he likes throwing the little dink and dunk stuff, that high efficiency passes that, that make it easy for a quarterback in high school. So they love big 40 right there in the flats on offense. Pretty good running back. He sees the ball, sees the holes well, hits it hard. Defensively, they stay in a 4-2-5. They bring some safeties up, and it'll look like a split 4, cover 3 kind of, or man look. They kind of pretty they stay 4 down, but they'll bring an outside linebacker up and blitz from him sometimes. And so we've kind of got to have our heads on a swivel this week and knowing their D tackles are 2 of the better ones we've seen this year. I think he's pretty. I don't think he's as good as I don't think they're as good as the 44 from Eagleton. That kid's just a monster, but I'd say they're probably right there with him. So they've got a really good front 4, and our offensive line is going to have a lot of work to do this week to be able to turn the ball out.
Well, let's hear them 3 keys to the game, too. We always talk about it going into every game, and it's playoff time now for the Buffaloes once again. Whenever you travel to Oneida this week for your first-round playoff game, what are your 3 keys to the game that you need to carry out in order to bring back a win from Oneida?
For us, I think it starts up front. We have to win the line of scrimmage on both offense and defense. I think if we can go out and hold her on the D-line, not get pushed around, and offensive line can work some angles and give us some good blocking lines or good blocking angles and give us some running lanes. I think that's a big key for us, is to go win the line of scrimmage. And I think second key is, we got to win the special teams battle. We did that Friday. Caused a couple turnovers on special teams, and if you can do that, it causes teams fits, gives you some good field position, maybe sneak a possession in here or there that nobody expects. So, that's always a good thing if you can go win the special teams battle. And I think a big thing for us this week is go have fun. When we have fun and we are excited and we've got a little energy and a little mojo and a little moving and grooving with us, we're a good football team. But when we just kind of, we don't look very good. And so, this week we're going to have a little fun, maybe throw a little razzle-dazzle at them, see if we can make something happen. And, it's playoff time. Why not?
Looking at the bracket also, we'll talk about a few of the potential matchups going down the road. We won't look at the whole bracket. I'll flash the bracket up on the screen right now and look at it. But in your same quad above you, you've got the Region 4 1 seed in undefeated Tennessee Gordonsville, and then you've got the Region 3 number 4 in York Institute. So when you would play one of those 2, and then above you in that, you would then play Marion County, Jackson County, South Greene, or Polk County. I know Marion County, I believe, back-to-back state champions, now looking to make it 3 in a row. You've got South Greene hosting Polk County here in Greene County this week. So looking at some of those potential matchups down the road, whenever you first saw your bracket draw, what was your initial reaction?
I don't know much about Gordonsville. I know York was a pretty good football team last year. I don't know what happened, if they've had just a huge senior class or whatever, but I think they play a pretty tough schedule, so they may end up being better than their record shows. So you don't really know which of those 2. On paper, obviously, Gordonsville is the team that should win.
Yes.
But playoff time, you never really know.
Also, yes.
What I would love to see happen is somehow, a shape, form, or fashion, us and South Greene end up meeting in the playoffs later on down the line.
Round of 8.
Yeah, that for a chance at the semifinal, in the quarterfinals, that would be some spectacular football.
Good news, too, neither team would have to leave the county, so I'm sure both athletic departments and booster clubs would love that.
Oh, there would be, because obviously South Greene would be the higher seed, so they would host that.
Would host.
So Rebel Hill would be standing room only, starting at about 4:30, packed out the gate. So, but that's the cool thing. I kind of like the new playoff format. It's different. You're going to see some new matchups of teams that you really hadn't seen before.
Yeah, because initially the way it used to be, if you were to win this week and South Greene would win, I think
we would have played next week.
Yes.
But how they've changed it, I kind of like. So you don't really see region teams until later in the playoffs if you both make it that far. So, man can sit and what's the word? Hypothesize.
Hypothesize.
Can wishful think. But, like I said, it's playoff time. You never really know what another team's, where they're at mentally. You never know where they're at physically, because they could have a guy dinged up that's their dude. They could have a guy that's one of their very talented guys could be limping around, not playing. You never know. So for us, it's you got to come ready to play every week in the playoffs. I'd like to do something this year that we hadn't done in a long time, and that's win a playoff game. I don't think we've won one in 13, 14 years, something like that.
It's a decade and a half near there, yeah.
So it's been a hot minute since we've won a playoff game here, and well, what better time than now to do that?
Absolutely. And you got that opportunity this Friday at Oneida, 7 o'clock. TWSAA has set every game this week to 7 o'clock in your own time zone. So if you're a West Greene fan and you want to make that long trip over to Oneida, make sure to get there before 7 o'clock to make sure you get a seat in the visiting bleachers. But Oneida and West Greene in the opening round of the Class 2A playoffs this Friday night. Go bring back a win for the Buffaloes.
Do my best.
That's all we got this week, unless there's anything else you'd like to add.
Nope.
One last thing, we didn't do it last week for senior night. We don't have time this week either. We'll postpone it to next week.
Okay.
We'll talk about the seniors next week or the week after. We'll just do it whenever the Buffs get eliminated, but we hope it's not next week.
We can hope it's not next week.
So hopefully we get 2 more, 3 more, 4 more, 5 more, however long until we see the Buffaloes get eliminated, but that's all we got this week. So thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Tommie's Plumbing Evan Monroe Show. Look forward to seeing you next time here on First Horizon's Green Sports Zone.
Go Buffs.